Hello everyone and welcome back to Gearhead Daily. Welcome back. And at the time of viewing this video, there are about 14,000, almost 15,000 of you have viewed my video on how to get sponsorship and how to get, quote, free parts in the automotive industry. It sparked a lot of conversation, and a lot of you reached out to me with some ideas and asking questions, and how do I do this and how do I do that? Well, here I am. I'm going to answer some of the questions as best I can, and hopefully this will help you in your endeavor to get sponsorship. So the first point is you have to establish yourself as somebody within the industry, somebody that they can trust. They're not going to just give stuff or parts or money or whatever to nobody they've ever heard of. So you have to establish yourself. And this can be done in a bunch of ways. And one of those ways is you can work for a media company, you can build really awesome cars and showcase them, but you have to have some kind of upfront work that goes with it. So you have to, take photos, or you have to do video, or you have to be somebody in the industry selling parts. You have to have built a really cool car, or you have to make some really cool products, or something like that. You have to be able to contribute to the kind of organization as a whole to be able to be recognized and say, hey, this guy or girl is really worth our time. So you have to establish yourself in something important that other people value. And that might be media, it might be building stuff, it might be, mentoring others, it might be, who knows? There could be a million different things, but you have to establish yourself in something. Yes. So one of the questions that I get is, how do I get noticed? Now, establishing yourself is a little bit different than what I'm going to talk about now, and that's getting noticed. And to get noticed, you need to either win some sort of event, or win, a drag race, or an autocross, or, a best show award, something national would really help too. But you have to either win, you have to crash spectacularly, a la sort of, the John Force, if you can't win, just, make a huge spectacle so you can get your sponsors on TV sort of thing. Or you have to be a part of the media in some way to get some sort of attention. So there's a bunch of ways to do it, but those are the three big ones. Win big, crash big, or be the guy, filming it. So these answers are in no particular order, and one of the ones that I get is, okay, so now that I've got a sponsorship, Eric, what do I do with it? And how you handle yourself post-sponsorship is absolutely way more important than the pre-sponsorship game. It is a game, and it's called a hustle for a reason. So you promise a bunch of stuff up front, you get your sponsorship, and then what, okay? So how you handle yourself afterwards is just as important as getting the sponsorship, because what you want, right, is you want further sponsorship. You want relationships to grow and build because you want people to give you more stuff and be better relationships with you and those sorts of things. So how you handle that relationship is infinitely important. So for example, I've seen it where a guy will get a sponsorship, parts will show up, and either they're wrong or they're broken, or they run them for an event or two events and they fall apart, or they break, or something happens. And then the guy goes on Facebook and badmouths them. You can't do that, okay? No matter how bad or good the part performs, if you got it for free and there's an understanding that you're supposed to be helping them out, you can't go badmouth those guys. Because you do, nobody's going to want to work with you, okay? So yeah, even if something breaks, hey, stuff breaks. It happens. It's not that big a deal. But going off and saying that the product is crap or anything like that will guarantee you absolutely no further sponsorships. Okay, I get this question asked a lot, which is, how do I approach a company for sponsorship? And that's a great question because it's hard to do, especially if you don't know somebody. Usually the best way to do it is through a friend of a friend, kind of, hey, do you know a guy? Can I talk to your guy? That sort of thing. And then you strike up a conversation. Hey, your buddy said to contact you. This is, I've got an opportunity here. But really, your pitch is going to be the most important thing. And I am part of a private, forum group of network inside people who, every so often will share some of these experiences that we have with people trying to get sponsorships and how badly they can go. And I want to talk to you about, first thing is first, you need to research the company in which you're trying to get sponsorship from, okay? So you need to know what they sell. Off the bat, you need to know what you want. So going up front saying, I want shocks, okay? So going in and saying, I want part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? You've already looked at their product, you know exactly what you want, and you know the value of that product. So then you can pitch in return what you're going to give them. So your shocks are, retail price $3,000. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to do this magazine, I'm going to do these 10 events, and I'm going to do these 5 things. I'm going to run some stickers, and hopefully I'll get a magazine deal out of it, like a feature, and that will be worth, $5,000. So you get, your investment, which is $3,000 retail, above and beyond that. So what you're providing is greater than what they're already, giving you. That's the name of the game. Bring more to the table than what they're giving you, okay? The second thing is if you can talk to somebody on the phone, that's great. In person is even better. So if you meet somebody at a show, introduce yourself, make a face-to-face relationship with them. Over email, it can get lost a lot of times, and holy cow. So the best, ask I've ever seen was a generic, and it was through Facebook DMs for some stupid reason. The person wrote, dear sir or madam, I would like X amount of parts for my truck. And they didn't list the part, they didn't list the company, and it looked like just a generic. They spammed everybody. Don't do that, because the industry is relatively small, and your name will get around. They do talk. Everybody talks. And your name will get around, good or bad. Either way, people will go, hey, do you know so-and-so? They're going to verify. They're going to go through these things because these things can get expensive. So they're going to want to verify this stuff. So, do your research. Have a, set proposal up front. Look professional. Talk professional. Do the best you can. And again, remind yourself, what am I offering them that they're not already doing? Okay, so I'm going to give you more than what you're giving me. And if you can deliver at the end, then you're more likely to get more sponsorship, because that's the goal, right? If your goal is short term to only get one sponsorship out of the deal and that's it's extremely short-sighted. So you need to be able to deliver way more than they're giving you. So let's talk about, once you got the sponsorship, how do you keep folks up to date on what you're doing? Okay, so what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to commit to either a series of race events or a series of magazine articles or some sort of series, something that will get a lot of attention. So in my previous video, I had said, forums were not really that interesting anymore. Most of them are dying, not all, but most of them are dying. However, I was wrong on 2 points, and I can admit when I'm wrong, when my wife lets me. And those are kind of Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, that sort of thing. If you have a huge following of like 1 million people, okay, fine. You've got a huge YouTube channel, which I hope to be doing someday. Then yeah, you're probably going to be able to say, look, I can get this many eyes or this many views on your product, so therefore, what I'm providing for you is going to be greater than what you already have. So yeah, you can do that. Now, one of the things that I like doing is I'll send an email blast to all my sponsors, number one, so that they can see that everybody is a part of this. This is a group. They've invested in me as a person, not my car. I mean, my car is cool and, I got all sorts of cool stuff on it, but the car's not really the product. The product is, in this situation, is me. I'm selling myself to that company. And so if I can remain in constant contact with them saying, hey, how's it going? I've developed a relationship with you. I like you. I like your products. I think you're doing a good. I think you guys make good stuff. Here's what I'm doing with your product. I sent out an email with bullet points with numbers and facts, like how many views did it get, how many likes did it get, how many comments did it get. Have I gotten any emails or questions about it? I will forward that to them to say, look, here's what I'm doing for you, and I'm still doing it. It might be 2 years after the person gave me the product, and my fulfillment is done. I mean, I have fulfilled everything in my contract that says I have to do, 2 events, run a window sticker, do this, do that, and, get a magazine feature and, show up at an event with my car. Okay? Those are the things I said. But several years later, I'm still promoting their product or saying, look, here's my, here's what I've done, and here are the people I've talked to, and here are the people that are contacting me. That will help you in the long run. What happened? So here's a true story. I sent out one of those big long emails, right? YouTube views and this and this and forums and comments and emails. Da, 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 da. I went down the list and I emailed a bunch of people. I got an email back from one of those people, really appreciative. Said thank you very much. You are doing the relationship bit really really well. Do you need any parts? I said, well, gee, I guess I do need some parts. Let me kind of just get back to you in a day or two. And sure enough, a couple of days later, parts show up at my door. Relationships. That's what's the name of the game. Okay, so let's talk about their fiscal year for a second. Every company has a different fiscal year than the calendar year, okay? So when they do their budget, that fiscal year is based on that. So it might be, a typical one is June 31st, so that's the end of the fiscal year, July 1st to June 31st. That might be their fiscal year. And they write out the number of sponsorships they're going to do in a given year. And if a company says, oh, we really don't do sponsorships, they probably do, but they just don't really want to work with you. So think about that when you're talking with them. And most of them have a budget up front. So, they have, let's say $10,000. That's a nice round number. And, let's say their fiscal year starts on July 1st, and you're asking them in May for something. They might have already spent their entire budget. So if you get a no, then it's worth asking. Is this just the wrong time? Is this the is your sponsorship budget been eaten up already? You're gonna have to approach that in a very delicate way. They will tell you up front, no, this not vehicles doesn't really fit our parameters. No, we want more from you, or this is a no because we don't think the relationship's very good yet, or it just might be a fiscal thing. So don't get mad if you get a no. Okay, so don't worry about that. And their fiscal year might be different than the calendar year, so it depends on what time of year you're asking. I know that several of the big manufacturers, GM, Ford, etc., their fiscal year is kind of in the fall, so you have to be very mindful of when they do all of their decision making around sponsorships. Okay, so let's talk about one of the other things, which is a partial sponsorship. Not every company gives away everything for free. There's a couple reasons for this. One is they have a product that everybody wants, so why should they give sponsorships? Okay, that's fair. The other reason is sometimes they want you to have skin in the game, so they'll that you're going to be promoting the product. I had one sponsorship that made me pay 100% up front, and then as soon as what I did was fulfilled, they paid me back. So it was technically 100% sponsorship, but just the way it was worded, I had to pay up front. Another way is they might have you pay just kind of cost up front. So they might, some nominal fee. Let's say you're buying, carbon fiber parts. They're going to want $1,000 down, and as soon as you fulfill your requirements, they'll give you your money back. And then there are full cost sponsorships, which are 100%, and they'll give it to you for free on a prayer and a handshake. And those are kind of rare, but they do happen, especially if you've got a good relationship or you've got some huge opportunity like a TV show. That might be worth doing. Now, there is one other type of kind of sponsorship that if you're in the industry, can be useful, and you have to be working in sort of some industry to make this work, and it's called industry standard. Industry standard is usually cost plus 10%, and that is a business to business sort of relationship that says I sell widgets and you sell fidgets, and I want a fidget from you, so I would like, industry standard, which is 10% over cost, and when you want a widget, you come to me and I'll give you 10%. That's pretty rare, so you can't really do industry standard very well unless you are already directly in the business. Okay, finally, let's talk about SEMA. Okay, SEMA's right around the corner. And it always kind of seems like it's right around the corner, but it used to be, SEMA was a huge deal. If you got a car in SEMA, you were somebody, right? This was a huge event. Now, having a car at SEMA is really not as big a deal. Sure, a lot of places go out of their way and they build these huge things, but it's not like a Riddler type award. They're not going full out on all these things. So, what I see today is a lot of guys asking, well, I've got a Chevy 1500 that I'm gonna take to SEMA, and it's a SEMA truck, so hey, you should be giving me free stuff. SEMA doesn't work that way as much anymore. SEMA's nice, but because SEMA has become so bloated with so many things, having a SEMA car isn't that special. There are some exceptions, right? The Ring Brothers booth and some of the other places, some of the big places that have big dollars and big booths and that sort of thing. Sure, they're going to do something. Chip Foose or whoever, some big name shows up. That's a big deal. But if you are selling truck nuts and you want some halo headlights or a bumper guard or something because your truck is going to be at SEMA advertising truck nuts, then don't expect a whole lot. You might get one of those partial sponsorships that I was talking about. All right, it's coming to a close here, and what I want to tell everybody is I want to say good luck, number one, working with folks, and I really want to emphasize you have to build the relationship with people. You have to have people trust you and who you are. It's not just today, not 6 months from now, but years into the future, that you're not going to sit around and badmouth them or do something that's going to make them look bad. You are there to make them look good and sell product. That's the game. That's the whole part of this. If you are looking at this just as free stuff, don't do it. It's not worth your time. It is totally not worth ruining your relationship forever in this industry. I've gotten several emails from people saying, I'm in college and I want to pay for my truck or I want to pay for my car. Nope, not going to happen. Don't do it. It's not worth risking your entire career based on burning some bridges because you want your S10 to look good or something. It's really not worth it in the end. So my advice, really establish yourself, come up with a solid game plan, and look professional, talk the talk, walk the walk, make some friends first in the industry, really get to know the industry and how people work and what people want, then go for it. If you need a mentor, hey, some people need mentors. I needed one to get in this. You know who you are, appreciate it. Thank you for all your help. So we all need help in the game. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you in kind of your future sponsorship goals. Feel free to hit the like button and the subscribe, because that always helps me out a bit. And hopefully if I get enough emails, I'll do part 3. So anyway, appreciate it. Have a good one.